What's going on, guys? Today, I've got a Bleed Huntress build that I've used to kill Pinnacle bosses, like Tier 4 King of the Mist, Tier 4 Zesht, and Tier 3 Olroth. The build excels at mapping thanks to the new double Herald tech with Hemocrystals and Envenom on Herald of Blood, and combine this with Herald of Plague. The build is also budget friendly, as the unique that we use only costs 5 exalts. This build takes inspiration from Loopy, who has a great video on his Bleed Huntress, but his version requires some expensive uniques like Death Articulated and Deepest Tower. I'll link his build in the description if you want to check it out. I've also included the link to the max roll and path of building if you want to see exactly how I'm getting the damage numbers that I am and what gear I'm using. I also stream on Twitch daily, usually starting around 4 to 5 p.m. EST, so come watch me playtest these builds live if you want to. And with that, let's get into the video. So my Bleed Huntress can be played on either Amazon or Ritualist, but I decided to go with Ritualist. This is due to the extra ring slot, which allows us to equip Venopuncture without missing out on resistances or damage on our other 2 rings. Venopuncture is important for this build due to it having magnitude of bleed and chance to inflict bleeding on hit. This is important to make our double Herald tech work, so Herald of Blood will cause bleeding targets to explode on death, and we'll use Hemocrystals, which explode combined with Envenom, which gives them a 50% chance to inflict poison. This poison will activate Herald of Plague, which now has a chance to bleed thanks to Venopuncture and chance to inflict bleeding nodes on the passive tree. This allows these 2 heralds to activate off of each other and spread in the large explosions, so without this, the mapping can be kind of slow, so this is a must-have. Now, the way that we get giant HP draining bleeds that you see in the video is with Magnitude of Bleed and Crit. Bleed will take the highest physical damage hit and apply that as bleed damage over a period of time. The higher the single hit, the larger the bleed. So we want to crit to increase this single hit as high as possible. We'll use Rake, which is a guaranteed bleed and high physical damage to apply the bleed, and Blood Hunt to execute targets once they get at a certain HP threshold. We boost our damage even more by using Sniper's Mark and Armor Break to increase the damage bonus from crits. So now that I've explained the basics, let's go over the skill gems and support gems. So here we are on the Huntress, and I want to go and put this out in the beginning that if you are newer to POE, I don't recommend that you try to do this build, as there are quite a few different mechanics going on, like weapon sets and swapping a couple of gems whenever we go to boss, just these 2, and there's a lot of setup to get the most damage that you want out of this, so I don't recommend this if you are newer to the game. I don't want you wasting your time, your currency, and being frustrated about not knowing why you're not doing the damage you should be. So with that disclosure out of the way, I'll go ahead and get into the gems and what's going on here. So Rake is our main attack, and I have 2 setups. I have 2 mapping gems and 2 bossing gems. So all that I do is whenever I go to map, I swap in Magnified Effect and Inspiration, because what happens is with Rake is if we have too much damage on it and you kill a target with Rake without causing them to bleed, it won't proc Herald of Blood, which we want Herald of Blood to proc, so that way we can get some more mapping done. So that's all I do is I swap out these gems whenever I'm mapping or bossing. That is the only gems that I change. So on Rake, we're going to be running Deep Cuts to increase the magnitude of bleed that we inflict, and I'm going to be running Ambush, that way we have higher crit hit chance. Now, crit is important because we want to apply the biggest single hit that we can do, and Ambush is going to help us get that. Now, like I said, for bossing, we're going to be using Heft for more maximum physical damage hits, and Concentrated Effect for more area damage to increase the damage of our Rake. I then have Heavy Swing as well to increase the damage of our Rake as well. And all I do is, whenever I go to do mapping, I swap in Magnified Effect for Concentrated Effect and Inspiration for Heft to lower the damage to make sure that we are bleeding targets before they die, so we can create those giant explosions. Now, I run Blood Boil from the Ascendancy tree, and I do this to get some extra map clear right here. And we're going to run Persistence to increase the duration of the Blood Boils on targets, and Acrimony, so that way targets affected by it have reduced life regeneration, and that's about all you want to run in here. Don't run Swift Affliction, it doesn't do anything. These are the only 2 that I know of that actually do something in Blood Boil. Now, Blood Hunt, this is our execute ability. This is what we're using on low life targets, that below 35% threshold targets. Now, Blood Hunt is going to dash towards an enemy, and if a target is bleeding, it will create an explosion. It will consume the bleed and create an explosion. So we're going to be using Momentum because you do this dash with it. If the target is over here, I will dash to them, so Momentum will allow us to get 40% more damage. I've got Bloodlust to increase the amount of melee physical damage against bleeding targets. We're always using this on a bleeding target, so this is a must-have. I'm running Close Combat because once we dash towards the target, we'll be right in their face, so this will always give us 25% more attack damage. And I'm running Exploit Weakness because we are going to be breaking armor using Sniper's Mark, and I'll show how in a second. Now, if you have the last slot, you should be able to run Execute on it to do more damage against low life targets, and that is 35% or below, if I'm not mistaken. So if you have that last slot, run it there. Now, Sniper's Mark, this is what we're using to increase not only the flat damage that first hit that we're doing, but we're also using this to break armor. So with Sniper Mark, we will apply the mark to a target, which is going to put a mark over their head, and the next crit that we do will have increased crit damage bonus. It will be 89% at this level, at level 19. Now I'm running single out, which is going to allow us to break armor on a target that we mark with this skill based on 10% of the physical damage taken. This is going to break that armor on the target, which Rake is a physical damage attack, so the lower the target's armor, the more physical damage it will do. So this is a must-have. We run Arcane Tempo to increase the cast speed of it, because you can see there's our cast time right there without it. There's cast time, or this is our cast time with it, 0.33, cast time without it, 0.4. So that speeds up the cast time. And then we're going to be running Demolisher, so that way we break more armor with the single out part of this. Now I run Disengage as a movement tech ability, and what we're going to be doing is you'll rake, and then you can dash out with this. This will allow you to jump in, dash out, jump in, dash out, jump in, dash out, and then hit like a blood hunt or something. So it's great for comboing. It feels so satisfying to use whenever you're playing the game, so it's super fun to use. On Disengage, run it as a lower level one if you can, so that way you're not using a whole bunch of mana whenever you use the skill. The lower the level, the better. So try to use a level 1 if you can. Make sure you quality the skill all the way, unlike I have, so that way the cooldown is quicker on it, so you don't have to worry about not having it if you want movements. We are going to be running Ingenuity to reduce the cooldown of it. I'm running Martial Tempo to increase the speed that we do this animation, and I'm running Unbreakable, so that way whenever we're using this, we have less chance to be heavy stunned and light stunned. So it's nice to have. Now, for our extra double Herald tech that we got going on right here, we got Herald of Blood and Herald of Plague. So on Herald of Blood, we're having Envenom, which is going to allow Herald of Blood, whenever it procs, to have a chance to poison. Now, what's important is we want our Herald of Blood or our Hemocrystals to be poisoning, because it'll proc Herald of Plague. So with a 50% chance to poison just with Herald of Blood explosions, and then Hemocrystals, or Hemocrystals, however you want to say it, this will consume the bleeding on a target that Herald of Blood hits, and it will spawn these Hemocrystals, which are these crystals that appear around the target, and they will explode. And when they explode, they also have a chance to poison. So this is a double dip into the chance to poison. I'm running Reach to increase the area of effect, which we don't have to worry about accuracy. It's going to hit every single time. And I'm running Bursting Plague. Make sure you have this for sure. For sure have Bursting Plague, because it's going to do extra explosions, and the Plague Burst can also bleed. So make sure you have this. And then on Herald of Plague, all that you can run on it, to my knowledge, is Chaos Mastery. I don't think there's anything else you can run on it. I have Warm Blood because I have the extra spirit for it, but this will just reduce the freeze duration on you. So that's just a little added to kind of keep you alive. Now, Orb of Storms, we're using this. You can use Orb of Storms, you could use a totem, you could use anything that is a created object that will generate rage with Font of Rage. That's all we're using this for, is to generate us some rage. We also have Font of Blood to give us some life regen, and Font of Mana to give us some mana regen. So just use this to build your rage all the way up to 30 before you get into a boss fight, so that way you're getting the most out of that first damage hit that you do. For our defensive spirit gems, I'm rocking Ghost Dance and I'm rocking Wind Dancer. Ghost Dance, we're going to run fast forward, so that way we generate the Ghost Shrouds faster, and I have Cannibalism on here to allow us to get 2% max life on kill, which is nice for keeping us alive whenever we're mapping. On Wind Dancer, I am running Maim, Blind, and Wind Wave, and what this will do if something comes up and hits us and Wind Dancer procs Gale Force, that hit will maim them to slow them down by 30%. Blind will reduce their accuracy, which will help us not get hit, and then Wind Wave will knock them back to give us the chance to disengage or just get out of there, so that way we can, not get just stun locked or whatever. So that is all of the support gems and the skill gems that we're using. If you want to get the most out of this, I do recommend that you use weapon sets. I'll go over this in the gear part of this as well. What we're going to be doing with the weapon sets is we have one here specifically that is meant for doing the highest hit possible. My path of building is calced this as being better than this, and the reason why I do this is so that you can see that the level that this goes to, you can see my mana consumption is quite high. If I swap back to here, it should help me a little bit, so that way I'm not running out of mana as much. So on Rake, I run this it should be on weapon set 2 only, but the reason why I have it on both is because Sniper's Mark, which we apply before we fight the boss, will switch us to weapon set 2. So you see I'm on weapon set 1 right now. I walk up to go fight the boss. I hit E to apply Sniper's Mark. It switches me to weapon set 2. I can hit Rake and on my weapon set 2. And then on my disengage, I have it set to weapon set 1. So after I'm done hitting the target, I then disengage, and it'll switch me back to weapon set 1. So that way I'm not, wasting all my mana or whatever. So whenever you go to fight the boss, just make sure that you're applying Sniper's Mark every so often, hitting them with Rake, and disengaging out to switch out. So yeah, that is it for those. I'll explain it again in the gear just in case y'all didn't stay to listen around to this part. So yeah. All right, so now I'm going to go over the gear that we're using, and right off the rip, we are using weapon sets, and the reason for this is on our passive tree, I have spec'd in the node specifically for getting the most out of that first hit. So on weapon set 1, we're going to be using, this is going to be our mapping, quote unquote mapping setup. It really isn't all that important. You don't have to do this. This is our mapping setup, quote unquote. What I do is, on my Sniper's Mark, I have it set to weapon set 2 right here. So that way, whenever I go to fight a boss, I hit E, and it swaps us to weapon set 2, which is our bossing set. So Sniper's Mark has been applied. We can then Rake, and then on my disengage, I have it set to weapon set 1. I then disengage to swap myself back to it to make sure that I'm not wasting all of my mana, because we just want for that first big hit to be on weapon set 2, which is our most damaging stuff for weapon set 2. So that is the whole reason behind the weapon sets. So now for the actual gear itself, what we have going on here is a high physical damage spear, and this is the most expensive part of the build is my spear. You can do this with a much cheaper spear, but I had the currency to spend, so I bought this spear. You're going to want crit hit chance, you're going to want level of melee skill, you're going to want high physical damage, you can get crit damage bonus, attack speed, things like that are going to be really good for this spear. I do recommend you try to get one that has the higher base crit hit chance, so that way you can get this as high as possible. I've tested with Tangle Tongue, and I do not like Tangle Tongue with this setup. I get way more damage out of these regular rare spears than Tangle Tongue. Now for the buckler, I'm just using this to cover my defenses. We have block chance, which is awesome for keeping us alive. We have pretty high evasion combined with block chance to help us stay alive. I've got dex on here. I've got life to help boost my total life pool. And then we got our resistances covered on here, and that's for both of them. So for my gloves, I would recommend that you get level of melee skill and added physical damage to attacks. We are going to want physical damage over elemental damage, because that first hit that we do, it's going to take the physical damage that we do and do the biggest bleed with it. So I'd recommend that you try to get physical damage gauntlets with level of melee skill. Otherwise, I just have resistances, life, and stats on here. The boots, these are not required. I'm running these to aggravate bleeding every single time. So aggravate bleeding is just going to make it so that whenever a target is bleeding, if that bleeding is aggravated, it will do 100% extra damage. Once it is aggravated, that bleed will do that for the rest of the duration. So whenever we bleed the target and we're already close to them, it will aggravate it. We don't have to worry about it anymore. It's 100% extra damage. You don't have to run these boots. They're cheap. I think I bought a double socket pair for 40 Exalt. You can buy these as cheap as like 5 to 20 Exalt. But I ran the double socket so I could fill out my resistances a bit easier. For the helmet, I'm running an ES helmet. I got max life. I recommend that the one must-have stat on it is going to be crit hit chance. We want to up our crit hit chance as much as possible. Otherwise, just try to get max life to boost your hit pool. It's very high ES because we are using Subterfuge Mask, and then I just got resistances on it. Body armor, I'm just going with a pretty decently high EV/ES. This thing could be upgraded, honestly, but I do have Spirit on here to ensure that we do meet our Spirit requirement of 150, and then I have Dex and some Resistance on here along with Max Life to keep us alive. For the belt, I'm running Ingenuity. Ingenuity is going to increase the effectiveness of our rings, so we want to do that to get as much damage as possible. If you can't fill out your resistances effectively enough, you can swap off of Ingenuity for like a Resistance belt with some Max Life and Mana. For the rings, I'm rocking, of course, Venopuncture, which is the one must-have ring. I happened to corrupt mine and get Chaos Res on it, which was nice. I bought this ring for like 10 Exalt, and then I corrupted it. The reason why I corrupted it is you can increase the magnitude of bleed up to 30% base, and then by using physical modifiers, you can get another 5%. So you can increase that magnitude up to 35%. And then you're going to want one that has good chance to inflict bleeding on hits. This will make it so that our Herald of Blood and Herald of Plague can proc off each other a little bit more effectively. For this ring has percent increased damage on top as a corruption. I just recommend that you get rings with high physical damage on them, your stats and your resistances. You can get life, you can get mana. Just make sure that you're capping your resistances with these rings. This one in Path of Building just happened to calc out as being really good because of this corrupt. And the same applies to this ring right here. I got percent increased damage on it as a corruption. You got flat physical. The accuracy doesn't really matter for this. I got mana, which you could also go life and then get your stats and resistances. For the amulet, I am running a spirit amulet, so that way I could get my resistances capped out. And then I am anointing it with Jack of all trades because we do have pretty high strength, dex, and int. So it's going to take the lowest of those and get 2% increased damage per 5 of that. There are other anointments that work for this as well. I would recommend that you try to use Path of Building to get the most out of that to figure out what's going to be best for you. But that is currently what I'm running. I have percent increased evasion and maximum energy shield to ensure that my defenses are brought up a good bit. I've got mana. I've got +3 level of all melee skill, which that is going to juice up the mana cost, but that is also going to juice up our damage. And then the other two on the bottom are kind of dead stats. I would recommend they try to get either resistances or attributes below that. Now, I am running 3 charms right here. I'm running a silver charm, which is going to make my speed unaffected by slows. I'm running a freeze charm to prevent me from being frozen, and I'm running a stun charm to prevent me from being stunned. And then I have a pretty fat recover life flask and a fat recover mana flask. And then weapon set 2, all that I'm doing is I'm running a spear with very high crit hit chance. It's at 8.6, high physical damage, and then it's got plus level of melee skill. For the other buckler, it's the same thing. I'm just getting life, stats, and resistances filled out with a decent black chance and evasion on it. So that is all of the gear. And now I'm going to go over the passive skill tree. So here we are on the passive skill tree. I am running Ritualist. You can use Amazon for this. I don't know exactly what nodes you should pick if you're doing Amazon, but I did decide to go Ritualist for the increased ring slot and the effectiveness of rings. So I would recommend that you get the reduced max mana. We're going to want all the spirit that we can get, and I don't know. I mean, if you can absolutely, if you're way over capped in your resistances, go for this to save yourself some mana. But in my case, I wasn't able to do that. We absolutely need this ring slot and the increased bonus. We also go Blood Boil because this node right here is going to give us 20% increased physical damage, and Blood Boil is just a nice little bit of added damage on targets whenever we're mapping. Now, I did try to run Intricate Sigils, and I couldn't get it to give me the extra charm slot. I don't know if that's because unique belts aren't allowed, certain ones aren't allowed to do that yet. So this doesn't really help us. So I just picked the movement speed node and the charm charges gain node. You could go, I guess, with the life recovery rate if you wanted to, but that's just what I like to go with. Now, on the skill tree, I have elected to go with nodes that are going to give you the highest single hit damages possible. So even though on like certain things like attack speed might help you out, you're going to want to go things like attack damage, that you're going to increase that big single hit on a target to apply the biggest bleed as possible. So that's why we go here. We go attack damage. We go here to get attack speed, dex, area of effect. And we're going to dip in to go avoid these right here. Don't worry about these because we're not really doing any projectile attacks. I shoot out this way to get all of these crit nodes right here, and I'm going to grab these attack damage nodes. Now on weapon set 1, our mapping set, I have 2% mana on kill to help us not run out of mana whenever we're mapping. It's right here. Might as well grab it rather than wasting the gem slot on it. We're going to come up this way, and I'm going to grab these crit nodes right here, and I'm also going to grab these crit nodes right here. Now this node and beyond, I go on weapon set 1. Up here, you can see that I am going for these extra attack damage nodes right here. Put these two on weapon set 2, as attack speed isn't really going, or excuse me, put these on weapon set 1 as attack speed isn't going to affect our biggest hit on our weapon set 2. Or same thing right here, grab this one on your normal points, all these 3 right here, put this one singular one right here on weapon set 1. Come out this way, we're going to get all these crit nodes, and they also give us some stats. Make sure you get this top one rather than that bottom one, and get that node right there for extra crit. Now, I am running a Time Lost Ruby. I was able to buy this for 20 Exalt. It's got Magnitude of Bleed and increased melee damage. I recommend that you get Magnitude of Bleed on these at minimum. And for every node in radius, and there's a lot of nodes selected right here, all the major ones give us Magnitude of Bleed and increased, or excuse me, all the big ones are going to give us Magnitude of Bleed and increased stun build up. All the small ones are going to give us melee damage that you can see. So I recommend these Time Lost Jewels in a slot like this. So when we come down this way, we are going to grab the crit hit chance nodes rather than the crit damage bonus ones, because I want to guarantee as much as possible on getting that crit and that big node right there for the crit damage bonus. I am running a From Nothing diamond right here, and it's the one that is going to allow passives and Radius of All Pact to be connected to our tree. And over here, all I've done is chance to inflict bleeding, and that's because we want our Herald of Plague and Herald of Blood to pretty much be guaranteeing a bleed, so that way they proc off each other. You don't have to run this if you don't have it. It's cheap. I didn't. It was like maybe 20 to 50 exalts to buy this. So if you have it, spare it. If not, go with just a really good gem, and you'll be okay. You could do a chance to inflict bleeding jewel instead of this if you want to. So coming down this way, I'm getting attack damage. This one has movement speed and attack damage and chance to maim on hits. Maim is nice because that 30% reduced movement speed on the target that it hits. We're going to come down this way. We're going to put these nodes on weapon set 1, as these just affect our skill speed and movement speed, so it doesn't matter for that big hit. We're going to come down here. This node and beyond is going to be picked regularly, and then every node this way is going to be on weapon set 1, because these are just going to be there's a lot of attack speed nodes here, and like this one doesn't really matter too much whenever we're doing our bossing. So make sure you pick these on weapon set 1. Come down this way, and I got another jewel right here. I got magnitude of ailments that we inflict, crit hit chance, and maximum energy shield for some extra defense. On weapon set 2 right here, we do all of these bleed nodes, right? So this is chance to inflict elements. This is helping us guarantee that our stuff is bleeding. We're going to have magnitude of damaging elements on here. That is what is important for increasing that bleed damage. And this big one right here is the biggest thing, 20% increased magnitude of bleed that we inflict. Come up this way, and we're going to grab these nodes right here. Once I level up again, I am going to grab this node, but I'm right there. I'm almost there. So magnitude of elements, that includes our bleed. We got them dealing damage faster, so our bleed will deal damage faster. Same thing, we got magnitude and duration of it. Same thing. And then right here, this will massively increase the duration and also increase the damage that we do against targets affected by elements. All that on weapon set 2. Now we come up this way. And from this point beyond, weapon set 1, we have to do this to fill out the amount of nodes that we have. So just keep in mind that whenever you are using your weapon set 2, whenever you're bossing, that you are going to have reduced evasion. Right here, we're going to go with all of these crit nodes. I recommend that you go this way. If you need more crit hit chance, grab that node instead of this node. Make sure you get all of these. And I have another time lost here with magnitude of bleed and melee damage to ensure that all of these nodes are giving us, these big ones are giving us magnitude of bleed, and all the small ones are giving us melee damage. Now weapon set 2, we're going to come out this way and just grab these full life nodes right here. And this is purely for whenever we are first hitting that target, and we're going to hope that we crit. This will maximize that bleed damage that we get. So this is super important for whenever you're map bossing. If you want to get the fullest damage out of your bleed, this is the way that you do it right here. So yeah, that is the passive tree and the jewels, and I will go ahead and give you a demo on the mapping and the bossing and the Pinnacle bossing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you a mapping demo. So we have a tier 15 with some nodes on it, so that way nobody can complain about it being a tier 14 or whatever, just because I didn't want to waste one. Somebody complained about that in the last video. So here's a T15 just for you, and it's juiced up to a gold. All right, so here are a whole bunch of enemies, and what I'm going to be looking to do is I'm going to try to bleed them, which you can see my Wind Dancer bled them, but I'm going to bleed them and let the Hemocrystals explode, and the Herald of Plague and everything will pop off of that and let the clear speed do its thing. But all you're going to be doing is dashing in with Rake and dashing back out with Disengage, so dash in, dash out. So I could dash in on this guy, dash back out. That's kind of the loop of it, is you kind of do this dash in, dash out gameplay like on this guy. See, he died just like that. Dash in, dash out, dash in. So it's super fun. It's really satisfying to play. You kind of feel like, I don't know, like a ninja or something. It's really fun just to kind of go crazy and let things explode. And yeah, it's a different type of gameplay rather than being lightning spear, which I vastly enjoy more. So it's good for rares. It's good for mapping. It's really kind of carefree because we have block chance and evasion. The only real danger to us is a really big, like, physical damage hit, like a big slam attack or something. So try to keep that in mind whenever you're killing things. Look out for big giant things that are going to do giant slam attacks on you. So yeah, with that, I'll go ahead and get into a map bossing demo. All right, so here I'm a media player. I pull this up so that way I can give you a play-by-play so I can stop it and show you exactly what I'm doing in every part of the fight. So before I enter the boss arena or before I activate the boss fight, I'm going to place my Orb of Storms and build up my rage as high as I can. So you can see I'm almost at 30 already. I'm going to place it right here by the boss so that way I'm still gaining rage. And I'm going to apply Sniper's Mark to the boss. So now you can see that there's the sniper mark over her head, meaning the next crit that I do is going to do an extra crit damage bonus. So I'm going to dash in with Rake, hit the boss. I crit because it consumed the Sniper's Mark, and it's now bleeding the target. Now, because of Sniper's Mark having that support gem on it, it's also broken the armor, which is going to increase the physical damage dealt. So boom, I let the bleed kind of tick down, and I'm waiting with Blood Hunt. I get far out so that way I can get the damage bonus from momentum. And the moment it enters that lower life threshold, I'm going to dash in with Blood Hunt and execute and just finish off that damage right there. Just execute the boss. It's like, I don't know, close to a mil just on that Blood Hunt dash right there. And boom, boss is dead. So map bosses are really, really easy. The tougher one is Pinnacles. They have a different loop. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. So here we are at tier 4 Zesht, and what I've done is I've done the same thing. I've placed down my Orb of Storms, I've built up my rage, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply Sniper's Mark up here, and I'm going to dash in with Rake, and you can see I crit because it took away the Sniper's Mark, and now the armor's broken on Zesht. So every hit from now on until that goes away is going to do more physical damage, and all that I'm looking to do is just apply the highest damage crit or the highest damage bleed as I can. So we're already doing solid damage, but we're going to keep hitting them to apply more damage. So you can see it's starting to ramp. The more hits that we do, the faster that bleed starts to tick. So we're going to keep smacking them, and I gotta wait because he's dropping his hand attack on me. And eventually, I'm gonna dash in and Blood Hunt. I'm gonna hit him with Blood Hunt. Now, unfortunately, I did not crit here, so I didn't get that big of a damage boost. Like, it did a solid amount. We went from 5.4 to 6.6, so that's 1.2 mil. We didn't crit. It could have been even more. So now that I've done that, I have to reset and reapply Sniper's Mark and get everything reset back up, get my mana back up, get my rage back up, everything. So now I'm just gonna be looking to apply crit on him and apply another bleed. I've sniper marked him, but he's doing an attack, so I'm gonna have to take cover, dash around for a minute. So I gotta take my time, and once that's over, all that I'm doing is reapplying bleeds to him to start escalating the bleed damage again. We're gonna keep stacking it, and then he's gonna do another attack on me. And I Blood Hunt him again. I probably should have let the bleed build up a little bit more, and I never crit because the Sniper's Mark is still on him. So same thing. I'm just going to hit him and apply some more bleed. But at this point, I'm out of mana, and I'm waiting to heal, and he's going to do a big attack. So I'm going to apply some bleeds, and then I'm going to dodge all of these hands and everything. And at this point, he really starts to spam me, like with a lot of stuff. So I'm going to run around for a little bit. I'm going to hit him whenever I can, but I can only do so much whenever he's attacking this much. So we're gonna let him finish doing his thing. We can see that the bleed is still ticking on him. I get a little trigger happy here again, and I should have let the bleed a little bit more, and I Blood Hunt him, which done a decent bit of damage, but it could have been more. So now I'm just gonna reapply bleeds while I wait for him to do some more attacks. You can see I'm getting hit, so I'm taking some cover. He's really starting to attack really hard now, so I'm gonna dodge around, and still spamming me. So apply bleed again. I got Sniper's Mark. It consumed it. So we're going to get that bleed up. I'm going to wait for him to attack. He's going to attack. He's going to attack. He's going to attack. The moment we're done, we Blood Hunt him and finish him off. So the loop for Zesht or pretty much all Pinnacle bosses, is you want that first hit to be really heavy and do a ton of damage. Let that bleed build up. Don't get trigger happy and use Blood Hunt too early like I did twice in this fight. Let that bleed build up a ton. We want that bleed to be like fat on the bar, so we get that big giant hit with Blood Hunt. So just make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're reapplying Sniper's Mark every now and then. Make sure you're popping a mana flask every now and then to keep your mana up. And that is the loop for Zesht and these other Pinnacles. This is how I've managed to kill pretty much all the tier 4s. I just have to do Olroth tier 4 now, but I just can't get his logbook to drop, so that's on me. So yeah, that is it for the mapping, the map boss, and the Pinnacle boss explanation. So that is it for the Bleed Huntress. So if you guys enjoyed it, I had a ton of fun making this, so I hope it was well enough for you. And if you enjoyed the build, let me know in the comments. If you have any suggestions for what I should do next, please also leave that in the comments. If you really like the video, like, subscribe, anything you want to, come by my Twitch. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Take care.